you've stated, I think you'd agree that $53 million has in fact been spent on the Startup New York campaign. Is that correct?
I would say that money's been spent on promoting New York State as a place to do business.
But not, well, the ads were not Startup New York specific?
That the ads included reference to Startup New York, but that for now many years we've been promoting New York State as a place to do business.
So it was, yeah, you've said that it was about changing the perception of New York as a friendly place to do business, right? But in fact, $53 million was spent. Do you agree or disagree with a statement that he has repeatedly made, by the way, that Startup New York costs nothing?
I think what he's referring to is that Startup New York, the companies aren't paying any taxes currently, so they're startup businesses. You're not foregoing revenue that you had, been receiving in the past, and so in that sense, it's not a cost in terms of removing what had been some annuity of revenue.
Well, that's not completely true, and I'll get back to that in a second. But in fact, his own division of budget states that it will cost us $323 million over the first 3 years of operation. Do you agree with that or not?
I'm not familiar enough with it. I definitely don't agree with it based on what I know. No.
So we're saying that the division of budget is not correct in apparently stating that we are losing revenue. And I guess the governor's tortured logic is that because the companies weren't here, they weren't paying it to begin with, so therefore it didn't cost anything. However, I don't think there's any doubt that $53 million went to an advertising campaign overwhelmingly targeted towards Startup New York. Do you agree with that or disagree?
I've answered the question.
Not really. The Gemex plant in the GE Gemex plant, the Empire State Development, your agency has listed I think a $12.5 million grant to Gemex. Is that, you're familiar with that grant? It's a GE subsidiary.
Yeah.
Gemex shut down. Is there any plan or any ability to recoup that $12.5 million?
I think we have recouped some.
Some? Okay.
Yeah.
Any idea how much?
I don't recall offhand, but yeah, we did.
Okay. The original plan for Startup New York was about $150 million, as I understand it. And the original plan, or the original projection, was for 4,000 jobs. It created 408 after $53 million. It's now in its third iteration. It started as tax-free New York. That apparently didn't fly with polling. And it was immediately changed to Startup New York, and now we're on to the Excelsior program again. If it's such a success, if Startup New York was such a success, and just a week ago, the governor said that Startup New York effectively applies to every single one of our economic development programs across the entire state. Well, if that's the case, why are we abandoning the Startup New York name after spending $53 million? Because anything that's a success, you don't abandon. I think you'd agree.
I think it's great that you want to, that now after, beating me up for a couple of years on Startup New York, you want to keep Startup New York.
No, I don't want to keep it. I've said it's a disaster to begin with. I'm just wondering why it is that you proclaimed it a success repeatedly here today and for the past couple of years. This governor's proclaimed it a success all over the place up until a week ago, and now suddenly pulls the plug on it and renames it Excelsior, which is a complete waste of the $53 million in advertising, because you're no longer going to see Startup New York.
Okay, I assume that wasn't a question, right?
No, that's a question. I'm like,
What's
how do
the
you
question?
justify wasting the $53 million and rebranding it to Excelsior program when you've proclaimed it repeatedly to be a success? By the way, that's my question, but by the way, even if you had hit your numbers of 4,000 jobs after $153 million, I think any analysis of that would find that to be pathetic number of jobs created. 4,000 after $153 million. So that set aside, I just don't understand. My question is, how are you justifying, and how is this governor justifying rebranding it yet again?
We think it's a simplification of the program, and it fits seamlessly with Excelsior, which has a very strong brand here in New York. And you start out in the Excelsior business program, you can graduate to the Excelsior job program. Excelsior is not exactly a name that doesn't have brand equity. It's been used and is familiar for hundreds of years, and it's a reset. And from my standpoint, it's a curious environment, and all of your anger about it. You know, I live upstate now for 35 years. I think it's a great opportunity to connect industry with academia. I realize that it doesn't have the instant gratification that you demand, but it has the opportunity to be really transformative, and the opportunity to connect business with colleges and universities more aggressively is a really important idea. Facebook had about 10 people after its first year. I suspect you would have called it a failure. So the point is, there's a lot of goes into innovation. Companies that were open in New York State for less than 1 year created 175,000 jobs. Companies that were open in New York State for more than 25 years created 125,000 jobs a couple of years ago. We are trying to build the innovation ecosystem in the state of New York, and we're trying to connect colleges and universities to industry and give opportunities for college students with those industries. We lost such a disproportionate share of kids that age. It was criminal. And so there are initiatives like Startup New York, and if you don't like the name, the old name or the new name, the idea is important. And the willingness to say what worked or what didn't work, frankly, in upstate New York forever means there's no reason to be so married to the status quo of what worked so poorly for so long. So
Yeah.
I'm glad
Right. Well,
he
it
had
doesn't
the
work.
gumption
What
to
doesn't
start a
work
program
is high
that
taxes,
connects
high
colleges and
fees, high
universities
regulations,
to
the
industry.
worst tax environment in the United States. So you can spin this however you want. This program was an epic failure, admitted to offhandedly by the fact that you're rebranding it. Let me talk about,
Oh, no,
let me talk about,
Mr. McLaughlin, your time is run.
give
Thank
me
you.
one more question, Mr. Chairman, if you will.
No, I haven't given anybody else.